Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ayush Sawat, a research engineer at the Maritime Research Center, and I will be discussing UDA digital transformation and environmental insights. So, I will take you through a field visit to Ratnagiri and Veraval, where we focused on using UDA to drive digital transformation and address environmental challenges in seaweed farming. We at MRC, we are committed to support coastal communities through sustainable solution, and these visits gave us first-hand insights into their lives and challenges, from roping seaweed with the woman in Guhagar to reseeding tube nets near the Somnath temple. We learned a lot about what works and what doesn't on the ground. So let's start with why we visited Ratnagiri and Veraval. Our main goal was to understand the real challenges coastal community face in their livelihood, especially in seaweed farming and fishing. So we wanted to see how technology like our APY tool could make aquaculture more sustainable and to build partnership with local groups for long-term impact. For example, in Ratnagiri, we met fishermen in Kasarveli who shared how unpredictable catches and low market prices make their lives tough. They often earn just 1 to 1.5 lakh rupees annually after spending 4 to 5 lakh per fishing trip. So in Veraval, farmers told us that they also invest 8 to 9 lakh for a 4 month of seaweed season, but cyclones and price manipulation by big corporate companies leave them with a 50-50 chance of profit. So this all insights drove our objective in four main agendas. That is the introduction of MRC's mission to the locals, and then field validation, like validating our tool on ground, then identifying gaps in policy, technology, research, and skilling, and lastly, to conduct a social impact assessment through the lens of UDA to ensure our solution benefit both the community and the environment. So this visit were about listening and learning as much as they were about introducing our work. Now, let's talk about the digital transformation we are bringing to these communities through our APY tool. So, Shlok has already demonstrated the tool in detail. So, the overall idea is to help seaweed farmers to predict their yields right from the first day of cultivation so that they can plan better and reduce losses. For instance, in Ratnagiri, we learned from Climacrew team that seaweed needs specific condition to thrive, like salinity should be between 32 and 36, pH should be around 7 to 8, and temperature should be between 30 and 34 degrees Celsius. And if one of these parameters drop, like during the rainy season when salinity can fall below 30, the seaweed can get affected and might die. So our tool, APY tool, uses sensors to track this condition and runs an algorithm to predict yields with up to 98% accuracy based on internet data. And we are also working to make it 100% with on-ground data. We introduced this tool to farmers in both Ratnagiri and Veraval, and their reactions were eye-opening. So let's move to the field feedback on our APY tool. In Veraval, we demonstrated the tool to Climacrew's team and local farmers near their seaweed farm by the Somnath temple. We showed them how the sensors measure parameters like salinity, temperature, and how our algorithm predicts the yield for the 45th day of the cultivation right from the day one. And the locals were very excited. Mr. Milan, a senior scientist at Climacrew, was particularly impressed by how the tool could help them optimize growth, especially since they have already seen good yields in Veraval, like 200 kg of seaweed growing to 1 to 2 tons in a cycle. So the farmers saw the APY tool as a way to reduce the guesswork in their seaweed activity. One of the farmers also told, if we know the yield on the first day, we can plan better and not lose money. Even in Ratnagiri, when we presented to Mahila Arthik Vikas Mandal group, they were also very much convinced of its potential, saying it could be very useful to farmers for improving productivity. So this excitement shows us the tool's real world value to these communities. While the enthusiasm was clear, the farmers also gave us practical feedback on security concerns for the APY tools sensors, which needed to be developed in the water. Like in Ratnagiri, Climacrew's microbiologist Praneeth shared a story that stuck with us. So one night their monitoring sensors and camera got stolen from a site. And they also were worried about sensors getting entangled with the seaweed if tied inside a raft. or rusting due to high salinity, even if made of stainless steel. So high tides and sudden wind currents could also sweep them away. So this is where there's a difference between climatic condition in both these locations. Because in Veraval, the locals were more optimistic and offered solutions. They suggested like integrating an alarm system into the sensors. So if someone or something comes near, it will alert them. Since they live close to the farm, they could quickly respond. And they also proposed floating the sensors alongside the seaweed using empty bottles, a method they already use for tube nets. Another good idea was to get permission from the Marine Police, whose station is near the Somnath temple, to secure the area. One farmer also said, like, if the Marine Police are involved, no one will dare to touch the sensors. So all this feedback was very crucial. It showed us how to make the tool practical and secure in real world conditions. So on day 2 of our Veraval visit, we spent around 4 to 5 hours on a boat near the Somnath temple, fully immersed in the seaweed harvesting and reseeding process with the local farmers. So these are some of the images that we captured our experience. Like start from the watching swimmers adjusting tube nets, cleaning seaweed to remove microalgae, and reattaching it with the funnel pipes, all while empty bottles kept the nets afloat. It was a very good hands-on lesson in their resilience, working through the challenging condition and a chance to connect with them as they shared insights about their 50-50 risk in seaweed farming. So these moments highlight the teamwork and the overall dedication that defines their livelihood. Then in the left video, you can see which is from Veraval when we were on the boat witnessing the tubenet method of seaweed farming. And in the right video from Ratnagiri, Maharashtra, you can see women from Parivartan Foundation got involved in the roping process of seaweed, which showcased the woman empowerment. So before we dive into the specific environmental challenges that we observe, I want to set the stage by highlighting why this issue matters so much to the coastal communities. Seaweed farming and fishing aren't just the livelihoods, they are a way of life deeply tied to the health of marine environment. But as we learned during our visit, the ocean is a tough place to work. From unpredictable weather to shifting ecosystem, the farmers and fishermen face a constant hurdles that threaten their yields and their future. So let's break down the key challenges and identify. Starting with the key issue, first, depletion, overfishing and pollution are stressing marine ecosystem. In Ratnagiri, a fisherman from Kasarveli told us that fish stocks are very much declining because of overfishing in nearby areas, forcing them to go further into the sea, which increases their cost and risk. And in Veraval, also sediment shift reduce the overall fish stock. Then second, the seasonal constraint which limits the seaweed growth. In Ratnagiri, Climakru team explained us that the winter lowers temperature, causing seaweed discoloration. They can only harvest for 7 to 8 months, excluding the rainy season. And in Veraval also, Mr. Milan noted while they get better growth in winter compared to Bedwarka, which is one of their site in Gujarat. But monsoon still brings high wave currents that challenge their tubenet method. Then third, biological threats like fish bites and microalgae affect seaweed growth. In Veraval, Mr. Milan shared that at their Betdwarka site, microalgae got attached to seaweed and slowed their growth. A problem less severe in Veraval. But again, fish bites were also a major concern. These challenges show like how how tough the environment can be for coastal livelihood. Then weather extremes like cyclones, monsoons wreak havoc on seaweed cultivation. In Veraval, farmer told us like cyclones can appear at any time, destroying their farms overnight. So one farmer said like we invest 8 to 9 lakhs for 4 months, but cyclone can wipe it all before the season ends. In Ratnagiri also, Swaroop from Climax team mentioned that high wind currents often lead to cyclonic condition, making it hard to keep rafts stable. Then water condition variability also threatens the seaweed survival. Swaroop correctly also explained that if seaweed's color fades within 2 to 3 days, it won't grow properly because the carrageenan pigment, which gives its red color, fades in unsuitable water. In Veraval, while conditions are much more favorable, as Mr. Milan noted on that they still face challenges during monsoon due to high wave current. which can damage even their flexible units. So these environmental hurdles highlight the need for tools and strategies to help farmers adapt. Now, this brings us to the role of underwater domain awareness, which ties our work together. UDA drives sustainable aquaculture by integrating technology, environmental insights, and community needs into actionable solutions. It's about understanding the underwater world to make better choices for both people and planet. So first, UDA empowers decision making with clear underwater insights. In Veeraval, our research fellow Shlok showed farmers how the APY tool uses UDA to monitor condition and predict yields, helping them decide when to plant or harvest. Then second, UDA also enhances sustainability by balancing resources used with the marine health. Like at Bet Dwarka, we saw natural ulva seaweed blooms, confirming optimal growth condition. So in Ratnagiri, farmers lack tools to predict cyclones, but UDA can provide like early warning system. Finally, UDA strengthens collaboration. In Veeraval, we held a meeting on a boat with Dr. Arnab Das sir and Sridhar sir joining virtually. So fishermen shared how big companies buy fish at 100 to 150 rupees per kg, but sell at 800 to 900 rupees, leaving them with a very little profit. So UDA help us to document all these gaps and advocate for policies like minimum selling price, connecting locals, tech, and policy for solution that stick. So overall, the UDA is how we ensure our work makes a real difference. Now, lastly, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to the Climacrew team for the incredible support throughout our visit and also their deep connection with the local community, which made it possible for us to engage so meaningfully with the farmers and fishermen. And this visit wasn't just about the research, it was about building trust, learning from the group ground up, and forging partnership that will shape a more sustainable future for these coastal communities. Thank you.